Hello and welcome to another episode of Looney Tunes Back in Action. Last episode we went through the Paris level and defeated Elmer Fudd, and in this episode we shall go through the Las Vegas level and go toe-to-toe with Yosemite Sam. We're more or less at the halfway point actually, so let's begin.
Boy, I'd hate to get their electric bill. Tisk, rube. Ha! Branson, Missouri, eat your heart out. Toss them guys, you big
So the first thing I do is jump around on these rather funny looking curved limousines before heading over to Sam and giving him a whack.
Ow! Stop it, you flea-bitten varmint! Ooh, now you're asking for it! Oh, darn it, that hurts! Oh, say your prayers, you galoot! You done made me mad! Hey, who did that? Ow! Stop it, you flea-bitten varmint!
He has quite a few voice lines, which is a nice touch. I think out of all the worlds in Looney Tunes Back in Action, this one might be my favorite from a visual standpoint. I'm just a sucker for bright lights, this sort of Las Vegas Southwest vibe going on here. And so it's nice to see it in this game as well. And returning to the stage and seeing all this area here, this world here, is probably one of the bigger reasons why I decided to go back and let's play the game.
Gambling, fun, and profitable, and fun. Stop the crashing with speakers, you shovel-nosed salmon.
It's also the only stage that visibly takes place at night, or at least close to it. Area 52 might, but we never see the actual sky, so it's not really known. Every other stage takes place during the day, which, you know, it's alright, but it's nice to have a bit of variety in time as well. In the movie, as I mentioned in the previous episode, Las Vegas was actually the second destination and not the third. It's rather out of order and I still have no idea why. One thing I think they could have done is have like a voice line for every speaker destruction, since there's only 7. I do like the fact that Sam's mouth actually moves when you destroy a speaker, when he berates you. I guess in general it's kind of silly to say, oh, this would have been cool, oh, that would have been neat, to a game that's over a decade old now. Like, there's no way in hell any of this is going to be changed or improved. But you never know, maybe a future Looney Tunes game. I kinda wonder if there'll be a video game tie-in to Space Jam 2. I don't think there was one for Space Jam 1. But, you know, gaming's a little bit bigger now, it has better graphics, it's a lot more popular. Then again, I don't really see a lot of movie tie-in games anymore. There used to be like a ton of them for every big hit, major blockbuster, but now, I guess, even though gaming looks better, it's also significantly more costly in terms of time and resources, and of course money. That, and unfortunately the Looney Tunes just aren't really as big as they used to be. That's part of the reason why they keep trying to reboot it with all these different gimmicks, from Lunatics Unleashed to the Looney Tunes show. Now there's a cartoon called Wabbit that I honestly haven't seen any of. Yeah, I love that line. Yeah, but you know, here I am, a self-professed Looney Tunes fan, and I haven't even seen the latest series. So who's hypocritical now, huh? Yeah, Bugs Bunny was commenting on the electric bill, but honestly, the whole place must have cost a fortune. Look at it, it's about as extravagant as any other casino in Vegas. In fact, it looks more extravagant than the one in the movie, I think. Here's something interesting I've noticed. Yosemite Sam is drawn with two different variations. There's one where his lower lip and presumably his chin are visible and uncovered, and another where he has, you know, the same sort of red hair covering it all up like a beard. And even on his model versus that picture on the ground there has that sort of discrepancy. Warner Brothers need to get on this now. We need to know what is official Yosemite Sam lore. No delays, must be done today. Joking aside, I'm gonna go into that door after checking for frog statues, and Bugs Bunny will change into a new outfit. This one looking like a cowboy. I don't know if this is from a cartoon or just from the game as far as the official design goes. This little quick draw mini game, it's very easy, shouldn't lose it. And, you know, I know he's played like a cowboy before in Old West stuff. I just don't know if that particular design was used. How'd he even get stuck in there? That's a real question. It's another chicken throwing minigame you have to go through. In the casinos, there's these slot machines that if you time it right, you can get money and even a gold bar, which is the highest form of currency. However, oh, and then there's this guy patrolling around. Hold on. However, if you hit it and there's a Yosemite Sam icon, an anvil will fall and damage you like that. It's actually pretty good timing. I'm glad I was able to show that right then and there. And so for the next while, I go through and collect any money, search out frog statues and bird seeds and Sylvesters and all that fun stuff.
Every little bit helps.
This is the first level in this playthrough where I do successfully collect all of the collectibles.
It's a bonanza.
Actually, thinking back to that chin versus beard question, there were these tie-in comics DC did, which unfortunately they discontinued because they were actually quite cool, where the Looney Tunes characters would come face to face with DC characters. So you'd have like Marvin the Martian and Martian Manhunter, you'd have Elmer Fudd fighting Batman, you'd have Daffy Duck messing with Lex Luthor. It was honestly really freaking cool and had some pretty good writing to boot. It was fun seeing these Looney Tunes characters in a sort of different, more realistic leaning style and these different interpretations of their characters. And in the one with Yosemite Sam where he was up against John Hex, the artist stands firmly in the Yosemite Sam does not have a beard. He's clean shaven down there. You can see his lower lip and chin plain as day. But honestly, it really sucks that those comics were discontinued because it was such a nifty idea. A nice new take on the characters, you know, for older fans who are able to handle a little bit more grit than anyone younger. Would love to see that continue. Such is life, I guess. Let's throw some chickens after winning big at this slot machine. You don't often see older stuff referenced in the newer Looney Tunes stuff, but actually there is a line by Bugs Bunny here that references Space Jam, which will come right about now.
Hey, I still got my Space Jam skills.
Just a nice little shout out. But anyways, actual Looney Tunes comics, not the tie-in with DC, they're alright I guess, but I never really found myself eager to pick up a new issue. Comes like bi-monthly or something. They do tend to follow the sort of Looney Tunes formula of putting these characters in very different occupations and situations, and I think there was actually one issue that had a few parodies of Donald Trump in it, with Elmer Fudd as like a stockbroker or something. But that might be me just reading too much into it. On to another minigame. After collecting some dosh. Greedy Bugs Bunny.
I should have gone it alone.
Yeah, that's what you get.
I'm feeling a bit peckish.
This upcoming minigame can be a little bit challenging since it does rely on quick reflexes. Speedrunners tend to pause every so often.
It's duck rabbit stew for dinner.
Basically, you need to lean left or right, and later on stay in the center in order to pop these Yosemite Sam balloons, and you want to avoid the bombs. The time speedrunners tend to pause is around the corners, since it lets them get a better view of what balloons or bombs are upcoming and where they should lean. The more balloons you pop, the harder the course gets. Tends to be more bombs after that. The amount of balloons and bombs and where they are RNG, so there's no consistent strategy or way to know where to lean. The actual design of the background kind of reminds me of a level in Kirby Air Ride. It was that checkered night level where at the very end you see you're over this large city with a bunch of different lights underneath it. And hey, anything that reminds me of Kirby Air Ride, you know, that's a bonus, that's a plus. That game was fucking phenomenal. And the only reason wars, poverty, disease, aging still exists is because we haven't gotten Kirby Air Ride 2. True facts. This is a level that doesn't have any tie-in to the movies. A few of them do. The water tower one where everything was flooded was based on the scene where Daffy Duck caused it to spill over, and that eventually got him fired, I think.
Yikes! Yosemite balloon!
But no, alas, there was no scene of any of the characters bashing their heads in balloons while riding on a roller coaster minecart high above the cityscape. The film could get a little bit zany, but not quite that zany. And since the level resets, it's a good opportunity to try to collect more cash. I actually really like the way this guy walks, it's quite amusing. Kinda surprised there's no like poker table in this area, since it would have also sort of tied into the movie. Could have had like a few Looney Tunes dogs playing poker like in the movie. One of the things I kinda like about the game is how there's a bunch of different assets for all the different places, unique assets. Although they do sort of recycle a lot of the assets in the casino area, since there's 2 inside areas. I think that going forward, a game's graphics isn't gonna be based on like fidelity or polygon count, but just how different every place is compared to all the, the rest of the game, like new assets and all that.
Hold your horses, big
That's
shot.
something I've
I'm
noticed
coming.
that has
Come
cropped
on,
up
give a
more.
rabbit a chance at the wheel. Don't point. Time to give
Here's
my
a
naked
roulette
feet a
wheel
rest.
sort of
Sure,
mini game.
I'll
You want
spell you for
to
a while, Daff. It's
land
nice and
it on
Hey,
the
another
red
5 cents.
and not the black. So you have to wait for that to pass. You got a ground pound on the center and goes faster each time. After the second go, there's money, and during the third go, it releases. Oh, that should have been one. It releases a Michigan J Frog statue. Now, the Looney Tunes back in action speedrunning scene is
Ooh, my
already
toesies
like
are
2 or 3 guys.
There's monies
The
nearby.
Looney Tunes back in action 100% speedrunning scene is like 1 guy.
Hey, a nickel.
So suffice to say, even though that roulette wheel is very RNG based, it's not really brought up a lot in Looney Tunes speedrunning, especially since you only really need to do it twice for the any percent, and that's if you're even arsed to do so. It's technically optional, you can get the money somewhere else. Wonder how much a giant, like 2 or 3 or even 5-story Yosemite Sam statue would cost. Yeah, what would even be the logistics of building such a thing? And it's all painted too, so again, this place must have been real damn expensive. And here Yosemite Sam is placing coins on buildings, placing these golden frog statues on trees. I said coins on buildings, so I should have said trees.
Don't point.
Placing money in giant impractical roulette wheels. Then there's Foghorn Lake on there turning away like he doesn't want to get a peek at Bugs Bunny changing into a new outfit.
What do you think?
Sure, Foggy Boy, sure. Now you may be thinking, this guy is good at video games, but let me assure you, I have ignored or didn't even notice a desperado outside that one door, and went back into the casino I just left from, just going completely the wrong way. So let that call into question your judgment.
A nickel.
At least I didn't fail this little mini test here. Now, going inside, you can already see how a lot of assets are sort of reused. These buildings, the glowing light signs for jumping jackpots, I think, and the lucky varmint door, as well as this whole sort of stage area here with a giant neon lined Yosemite Sam. Kind of fitting it's called the wooden nickel, since I would imagine Sam would try to cheat people out of their money.
Sing it, Jolie. Hey, I love to sing it too. This guy sure tries hard, doesn't he?
About the moon and the June and the bringer. I love to sing about a sky of blue or a deep fortune.
I ought to break the bank in a place like this.
There's another classic Looney Tunes character who makes a minor appearance. And this isn't his only appearance, he also pops up in the Africa level at the very end of the game. Well, not very end of the game, but the last world of the game, I should say. Here's some balloons that gave me more trouble than I would like to admit. There'll definitely be a cut while attempting those balloons. Let me assure you that. You know what would be pretty cool? A Looney Tunes fighting game in the same sort of vein as Super Smash Bros. Looney Tunes World of Mayhem has fighting, it's a main component of it. Either that or the microtransactions. But I would be very interested in seeing like a full-fledged Smash Brothers-esque fighting game. And the reason it gotta be Smash Brothers-esque and not like Mortal Kombat or anything like that is because I think knocking your opponent off of the stage is a lot more in line with what would be very Looney Tunes like than just draining their health bar through attacks. It just seems a lot more cartoony and zany if, say, Bugs Bunny gets a giant mallet and whaps Daffy straight off the stage, off of the screen. Warner Brothers, please, write to me. I have so many ideas that are guaranteed to get you lots and lots of cash. But it doesn't just have to be Looney Tunes, it could also be like Hanna-Barbera characters, it could be the animated version of DC superheroes. Like, Warner Brothers has some pretty interesting properties in their pockets that could very easily be transferred into a fun fighting game. Oh, and you see, you know, my trouble with these balloons. It's kind of hard to judge where you land. And then look at this. Just look.
Bouncing sure beats walking. Hey, another 5 cents. Some dead Junior. I wonder if he's got an album.
Oh my goodness. At least I got that. And then this really sort of jank way of getting up there ends up being the one that works. Go figure. But like concerning, you know, my idea for a Looney Tunes fighting game, it just would be kind of interesting to see like all the different alternative outfits, what sort of items and stages they would use, and they'd have plenty to choose from. Be a good time to make references to spin-offs and old movies as well. In general, I'd like to see the Smash Brothers formula used more in fighting games.
I wonder where the little simian sneak thief went. There he is! Hey! That's my life you're living! Forget it, Daff. How do you expect me to catch you if you keep running away? Don't point.
What's interesting about that cutscene is that there were 2 models that aren't used anywhere else in the game. Those little old lady models on the slot machine and that sort of very tall guy in the tuxedo. Kind of looks like a Secret Service member. Would fit in pretty well with Area 52 as sort of like a Men in Black parody, but wasn't used there. They don't appear in the actual game, so we get to see our tourist friends again, walking around seeing the sights as usual. It does kind of bring up the thought, you don't really see many non-main or secondary Looney Tunes characters. Like, you don't see a lot of average Joes outside of, say, the Looney Tunes show. Kind of like the fact that Daffy Duck noticed it wasn't the right monkey long before Bugs Bunny did. I mean, outside of Yosemite Sam and Elmer Fudd, there's not really any main character humans either.
Welcome to my casino, Crusher. Before your next big tussle, what do you say to one of our famous 98-cent, 99-cent shrimp cocktails?
Hey, you won! If this is winning, I want to be a loser. Come on, Sleepy. We gotta get to the super secret alien research facility, Area 52. Who sets these fares anyway? It's practically around the corner.
Interesting thing about that cutscene, well, there's a few. First, it's kind of funny that the actual slot machine rules apply in the cutscenes rather than just gameplay. Presumably some of those old ladies in the previous cutscene got smacked by an anvil.
Granny's away, the cat
Another
will
thing
cook
is there was a
her
brief
for
appearance
breakfast.
of Penelope Pussycat, who doesn't actually appear anywhere else in the game.
You did it! Oh, thank you. Won't you take this monkey for me? At first I thought it might be Sylvester. Darn these glasses.
You know, there could be something to this whole good deed business.
And if you're wondering, Area 51 actually is pretty close to Las Vegas. It's like 90 miles north of it or something. And in the movie, Area 52 was also really close to Las Vegas.
So, is this the place? Forget that, pal.
It's just kind of funny that the game, and the movie for that matter, kind of presents it as Looney Tunes on this epic globe-trotting adventure. I mean, then one of the posters, it's all the characters even standing over the entire planet.
The stupid man
And
wants
yet,
to fight with
3
us.
out of
Boy,
the
this
5
place must have
locations
cost a
take
bundle.
place in the American Southwest. I live in Arizona. I could literally drive to most of the places that Looney Tunes Back in Action takes place in. I can't really drive to Area 51, but you get my gist.
I can feel your feet
And in the
tingling
map
from
screen,
here.
when you
Must
switch
be
from
your
Las
money
Vegas to
sensor.
Area 52, rather than a very short leap, just a little here and there, it actually spins the whole globe around in order to go from Las Vegas to Area 52. That's more for like a graphics reason, because they need to shrink the Las Vegas icon and make the Area 52 one bigger.
Hey, another 5 cents.
Coming up, I'm going to show not really a glitch, but just an interesting thing from a game development standpoint,
Now we'll
where if you do the roulette wheel once all the way through, you get the frog statue, and if you do it again and complete the third one, the frog statue appears for a single frame and disappears.
Foghorn, big
I
mouth
kind of
again.
wonder if there's ever be a way to make it stay indefinitely, and if you collect it, if that would add to your Michigan J Frog statue totals.
Why, looky there. Up the danger
Wouldn't really
rifle.
do much for anyone, not even speedrunners would really give a shit, I don't think. But, you know, could be an easy monkey if it's done well or done right. Anyways, on to the Crusher fight, which, oh boy, I remember having trouble with this one as a kid. The trick is not to press X as fast as possible, but to press it at a consistent speed. It's best to match the rhythm of the finger in the top right. Also interesting is that a lot of the characters in the background appear twice. You can see Marvin the Martian in the far right, and Marvin the Martian, not far right, far left, and he's also slightly right of center. So able to see Yosemite Sam, oddly enough, in the background, even though he's literally hosting the fight. Pepe Le Pew appears like 3 times from what I can see.
Cheated. I've been flim-flam.
Yeah, I fucked up twice, but don't worry, got on the rebound.
Game
Say goodnight, Crusher, you're out of here.
Nice shirt, Daffy.
It's not even wearing a shirt, Daffy. What are you talking about?
It's the monkey
But yeah, that's one of those gaming moments I recall pretty clearly from my younger days.
What's the deal with this
Which
room?
just kind of shows how the game did have a bit of an impact on me, if that's what still occupies dendrite space in this useless flesh prison that I've come to call my body. Now I have to do another Bugs Bunny standoff, and hopefully I don't fuck up and go in the wrong room this time.
Die for it. Finally,
I do
get to
spend
take it
a
easy
bit of
for a
time
while.
actually
You want
looking
little old
around
Leon to go?
for Michigan J Frog statues and bird seeds. Fun fact, if you actually are able to turn the camera around when he's changing, it just shows him like running in place.
Snap, snap, zipper,
Like he
snap.
doesn't stand there in T-pose or anything. He actually has a bit of movement. So we go in one door and out the other and head to one of the areas we were at before. One thing I do like about the game is it does do pretty well reusing the same areas. Doesn't reuse it to the point of monotony, but it does try to get as much bang for its buck as it can with the individual segments. Like, you don't really go back to an area and do exactly the same thing you've already done in it before. There's a new challenge to face, and sometimes you're just passing through that area, don't actually have to stick around and do monotonous crap in it. I guess that's one of the benefits of being a very short game, all things considered.
Hey, a nickel! Big deal, he was a pushover.
I'm looking for the Michigan statue. Occasionally there's like
We'll see what a
sounds in either the
balloons away.
soundtrack or
Smash
maybe
'em.
just the environmental sounds that in turn sound very similar to the actual croaks that the statue makes when you're nearby them.
Temptation is killing me.
And a lot of times I kind of wonder, well, am I just going crazy or is there actually a statuette around here that I should be picking up?
Come here, Baldy.
The fact there's so many of these statues means that it's very easy to actually miss one, and you tend to get locked away from different areas and statues as you progress through the level, so you really have to make sure you collect them when you have the opportunity. For example, I can't just go back to the outside area and collect any of those statues, and actually sort of fuck up here and miss that statue in the fountain the first time to fight Sam.
Need some help there, Daff?
Like, actually missed
Sam's got
or just noticed that frog statue there in the fountain as I was going up. So it was a question of, should I beat this or should I just fail? And I decided to fail. Apparently I failed twice or something, or maybe I just cut out a sound glitch or whatever. And I didn't notice that the actual going into the balloon segment and hopping on the balloons into the signs were in two different areas, so I spent some time like trying to go up the fountain and collect the frog statue, not realizing that you're not supposed to do that now. You're supposed to do it after you smash through Yosemite Sam over there. And it isn't a matter of like just quitting out and restarting the level or going to whatever level you missed a statue in, because occasionally the game would actually reset your statue count if you leave and go back into a world, which is a problem for speedrunners. So in levels where they have to collect all the statues, specifically Area 52s where they collect the statues, they need to make sure to get them all in one go because there's really no going back. It's interesting how much speedrunners come up in this Let's Play. And that's a nice thing about speedruns, though. They kind of give games a longer life and give a lot more to talk about when it comes to the games. That security guard almost got me. Yeah, he's back too, but thankfully he doesn't return again, and no other enemy going forward does that you need to mash X to escape thing. This particular fight actually offers a little bit of insight into the development of the game, because one of the lines Bugs Bunny says, which will play when the fight is like finished actually in this run, is that Sam has 5 balloons, even though he actually starts with just 3. So I guess he thought it was too difficult or wanted to shorten the fight a little bit. But just kind of goes to show you the sort of small changes that happens in game development. Kind of makes you wonder what else was changed, what else was cut. What was the potential for the Looney Tunes Back in Action tie-in video game to the movie? The world will never know.
Sam started with 5 balloons. He's the toughest.
Ooh, now you're asking for it.
Get away from that! It's mine!
So yeah,
Monkey bonanza!
not a very hard mini game. And it only gets easier actually, because eventually you clear everyone out. Around this time, I was kind of worried that I missed one of the Michigan J Frog statues. Then I was able to notice it up there, so I tried to figure out how to get over there. You can bounce on the trees, but I didn't really know how exactly to manipulate that. So I tried going up on this fountain and hopping on one of the balloons in order to chain hop my way close enough. But I found out you can't really stop and flutter in a completely different direction. But not all is lost. You are able to go up in this fountain and hop on these balloons and then get your reward. Now there's one more to go and I'm starting to panic. So I'm looking around trying to see where on the top ledges here it might be. And then I realize it might be underground because a lot of the frog statues end up being underground.
Don't pull. Hey, big ears, the party's over here. All this running and jumping's making me hungry.
It really would be great if there was a solution to these stupid sound glitches. But now that I'm checking underground, the question comes up. Where underground is it? Because there's a lot of ground. Oh, there it is, never mind. So yeah, that has been the third level in the game, or world. Kind of interchangeable really. It's a fun area, all things considered. And we shall be moving on into Area 52 in the next episode. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I gave you something to think about and otherwise entertained you. Take care.